invocation is going to be by Councilperson Garidi, and then please remain standing for the pledge to the flag.
Thank you. Let's all put ourselves in the presence of the Lord and bow our heads, and would like to thank our divine Lord for giving us another year. And this year we ask that it will be a wonderful year for our city. Blessed each one of us in council, the administration, all the police officers, and those first responders that are out there, keeping us safe every day, every night. We ask you for peace. We ask you for blessing our city, our country, and the entire world. We ask you this in the name of whom we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hanlon. The roll call. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to open up for courtesy of the floor. The rules for courtesy of the floor are listed on the agenda tonight. Address council. If you're representing a group, you get 5 minutes. If you're an individual, you get 3 minutes. And it's a topic that is not on the agenda for tonight. So we'll open it up to courtesy of the floor.
Don Ringer, 1801 Liberty, Allentown. I'd just like to ask council to consider making a change to the food truck ordinance. What's the length that a food truck has to be away from a business right now? Nobody knows. Well, I understand that if a food truck is on private property, adjacent to a restaurant, doesn't matter how close or far, they can still operate that truck. So I'm asking for council to amend that or do something else here, that you have a situation right now on Tillman Street where Volpe's, and they have a food truck 50 feet away from the building, and they can't get rid of it because he's on private property, the landlord's property. That shouldn't be, I'm sorry. So I'm asking council to really try to do something with this, you know?
Yeah, I think so. Do you think though that the complaint would have to come from the owner of the property?
Well, Bobby's not happy with it.
No, I know he's not, but I'm saying,
I can get him to come here, but can't we make a change to the ordinance?
Let's see what the ordinance says first. I think we're going to get a reply from the administration and we'll see what's going on. But
This might take 2 weeks.
Mr. President,
yes.
what I can say is I know I've had some conversations with Mr. Leiker. I know there's an attempt to look at updating the food truck ordinance and to make some changes to it. Something that I know I have mentioned and I am in favor of is, and this touches on what Mr. Ringer is saying, if a food truck is being parked in a location like that and not moving, I have talked about adding in addition to it that they need to then be treated like a brick and mortar restaurant and held to the same standards as a brick and mortar restaurant, because it is not in support of what the intention of a food truck is, which is to have mobile food vending. So I think that Mr. Ringer brings a very good point up, and we need to explore this
The
sooner
food
rather
trucks
than
right
later.
now on Tillman Street, there's like 4 of them, I think, that are stationary. They're not moving, okay? And the fact of the matter is, they're not the good quality food trucks, okay? So I think we could use some help on this from council, all right? Thank you.
Absolutely agreed. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Ringer, could you mind staying there?
Are you going to yell at me?
No, Mr. Ringer. Mr. Ringer, I totally agree with you.
Oh my God.
And it is, and we talked about this before. Public property is one thing, if on private property it's another, and I just talked to Mr. Leitner, we are exploring this, and it will continue to be explored, and it does need to be rewritten, the ordinance, and we're working on that, but you're absolutely right. And if I'd be Mr. Volpe, I'd be angry, I'd be here every meeting.
Bob, he's not.
Yeah, no, but no. it has
I know
to be
you're
explored.
upset about it. I know
Oh,
that.
yeah, and rightly so. I mean, it's like 30 feet from his front
Yeah.
door. Yeah, but no, it will be explored, definitely.
Remember this one, Mr. Ringer, you're not going to get that too often. Anybody else courtesy of the floor?
Ken Robinson, 721 West Cumberland Street, representing the Fairview Crime Watch. On garbage pickup, we had an issue of that over the holidays, where on the south side, the Friday night pickup was not complete on many of the streets in our area. And as a result of that, it sat until Tuesday, and that's totally unacceptable. I understand that the trash truck drivers have CDL licenses and can only work a certain amount of hours. But then it's up to the vendor to make sure he has enough drivers to cover that, so that the trash doesn't stay out a whole weekend. We were talking an area around Trout Creek Park where there's a lot of animals, skunks and others that love that trash and tear open the bags, and then it becomes a mess. And who's responsible for picking that up? The neighbors. And they did everything they can by putting it out on time, and then the trash does not get picked up. So I think this is a situation that needs to be addressed. I understand that there was excessive trash because of the holidays, but that's still no excuse for it not being picked up. Thank you.
Agreed, and it's every holiday.
Yeah, Mr. Longley, we did receive some concerns about that. It is being looked at. My impression, my understanding was that they only could get 13 hours CDL license, okay? But they were coming back the very next day to finish the project, so you're saying that did not happen?
Not enough, that does not happen on the Friday night pickup. They do not come back out on Saturday.
Okay.
The
And,
rest of the week it happens, but not that night.
okay, it'll be looked at, it'll be addressed. Just a couple numbers. Over the holidays, we picked up 267 tons of trash. And last year, at the same time, we picked up 167 tons of trash. So it's a legitimate concern that will be addressed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's happened in my neighborhood, the same thing happened, they never got to ours, but they did make it the following night. Now, why that didn't happen there, I don't know.
I don't know, either, like you said, maybe it was a Saturday.
They say it's probably Saturday, which it'll come on a Saturday, but it'll be addressed.
I know this was a stab in the dark, but is there any kind of explanation as to why we got 100 tons more garbage this year than last year? Is the economy that better?
The kids got 20 presents instead of 10 presents this year.
Okay.
It was a good year, up until a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Got Happy Traeger, 1840 Pennsylvania Street, downtown, I represent Downtown Tenant Association. Two questions, well, maybe three. The streaming service that we have to stream tonight's meeting, is it paid by the meeting, or is it a contract that it, could be 24 hours a day if necessary?
What was the beginning of the question again? The what
The
service?
streaming service.
No,
Yeah, but the next day, you get it.
you come on.
You know, what I'm saying is though, in other words, why do certain public meetings not use the service? Why don't we have all our public meetings public? One's in the middle of the day that you can't get to necessarily. Planning commission is one, but I think they've been on there actually a couple times. The zoning board, I still haven't ever seen. I just don't understand why we don't use this to the fullest and have the, if the chambers are open, that had their meeting here then. That'd be one thing. Secondly, just curious, but when it comes to appointments, and I'm talking to two people tonight, so overall, if you look at like how they produced, when you look at the guy, you say, wow, he's got this, and this, that's fine. Does he actually do anything at the meetings? I mean, I'm just putting it out there for everybody that we look at, what these people produce to make sure that, they're giving their all to the city and not just trying to have their, name with another thing on it, because that's what it seems like anymore. There's a lot of people at these meetings that, you seem to just, they just look around and nod their heads and that's about it. And they don't actually like talk ever or nothing like that. I'm curious about that. And lastly, just I was just reminded of tonight, I totally forgot about this, especially since I attacked it last year. The state of the city address, again, last year they made it free because they didn't want to hear from me anymore. But here we are again, it's charged. Shouldn't the residents of the city be able to see this? And, hear firsthand without paying the Chamber of Commerce, 45, 65, whatever it is. I just find it, again, utterly ridiculous. Have two meetings then. Have the one verse for the chamber, so people want to be right there for the thing, so they can smile at the cameras and whatever, and they're on. And then have one for the residents if they want to hear it. That's my thought. Thank you.
Could I address the last point? Well, we'll look at the Granicus, and I agree with you, they should take better usage of the system we have. More public transparency, the better. The ABCs and where you're coming from with the ABCs. The state of the city address, okay, it's in the home rule charter, the mayor has to give it once a year. I'm giving it on Friday, okay? It's a chamber event, so I'm not, you know, they do what you want to cost-wise. But I would be more than willing to work with city council and Mr. Hanlon to give it in chambers free of charge on a particular date that we can advertise, and people who want to come and listen, who can, basically don't want to spend, don't want to spend the $39 for lunch and to hear me speak, okay? I'm with you on that one.
All right, fantastic.
I'm with you on that one.
I'm sorry, when I inquired, I thought you were paying us to attend.
Yes.
I also have a comment, Ken, I was starting to investigate with the streaming process, you know, especially our budget. And I'm thinking people have to go to stream, wouldn't it be nice for them to turn on channel 2 and they could see exactly what's going on? We have RCN, Service Electric, and I turned on the TV one day and I saw Emmaus High School Board on this, and I'm thinking, we don't, so that was one of the things on my list to investigate, see what we can do with the citizens to be able to turn the TV on and see what's going on, especially on big things like the budget and public safety and so on and so forth, and they'll be, rather than streaming, so that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that was on my list.
We can pay per view. We'll make some revenue pay per view.
How much?
I don't
Oh,
charge
you
a
put
thing.
this on your?
I don't charge a thing. I put this on YouTube.
Hey, Mr. Garrido.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think, years ago, we explored, I think it was Service Electric, to do this, and we never really got it streamed like that. Some people in council were against it. But we had, through the contracts that we had with some of these cable companies, we actually had the possibility of doing it if we want to. So it's an issue just talking about it to them. And the administration can certainly do that if we want to do that.
We have contracts.
Okay. Anybody else? Courtesy of the floor.
James Whitney, 924 Walnut Street. Obviously in Allentown, we care about our historic buildings. We've heard a lot of stuff about the post office, wanting to save the post office. I was just looking into like what happened with King George's Inn. I mean, like, if there's anything you can say about Allentown, it's that it loves its historic buildings. I'd like to hear an update on the state hospital. On Friday, the 25th, Glass comes out. It's the sequel to Unbreakable. It's going to be an amazing movie. We should all go. The Allentown State Hospital is going to be a character in that movie. It's really cool. But I'd like to hear an update about what our philosophy is toward the Allentown State Hospital and what we're doing about managing its sale and if we want to preserve it. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't own that property.
I work there.
Right, yeah, absolutely. We don't own the post office either. We heard from Courtney about the post office and from other people on this board. There's a lot of things that we don't own. And the city didn't own King George's Inn either. But does the city have an opinion? But, oh, right, sure. But does the city have an opinion anymore on what happens to the state hospital?
Well, I just bring the people that somebody's put an effort into it.
Right.
Mr. President, since it's the CED committee that would affect this, I'm happy to give somewhat of an update, and I cannot speak for the city, I cannot speak for any other member of council, I can only speak for myself on this. Yes, so it's state-owned property, so there's very little, we can't even, if the state chooses to demolish the property, we don't even issue demolition permits, because if the state does the work themselves, they aren't required to seek demolition permits from the municipality. So there's very little that we can do in terms of that. However, I think that there's a lot that we can do in terms of stating our priorities. So I have been in favor of trying to save the central administration building since the project was announced. I've also been in favor of, if that is not possible and not feasible, to make sure that organizations such as the Allentown Preservation League and others are allowed to salvage as much as possible off of the buildings so that we can at least preserve those historical artifacts for use in other buildings moving forward in the future. So there's definitely room to work with the state on that and work with it. I myself have a concern when it comes to the demolition in terms of health issues, and I'm hopeful that the state will hold a meeting, the DGS will come in, Department of General Services, and talk to the residents on the east side as to what the impact on the community would be if the demolition moves forward, because obviously there's gonna be a lot of truck traffic, a lot of construction traffic, so there's still moving parts in this, contrary to what's been reported in some sort of pseudo-media forms. This is by no means a done deal. This is not a case, but as has been stated many times here, the state has two ways to convey property. One is to the highest possible bidder. Another way is to an individual bidder for a set price based off of usage. The state, when they passed the enabling legislation to look at selling the state hospital, chose to go the second route, which was they would pick an individual developer, but the sale would be contingent upon usage. So that's the decision they made. So any other potential offers that have been put out there would require the state to go back to the drawing table, which, if an appropriate offer comes in, I think that would be a good idea to potentially consider. But at the end of the day, right now, we're in a situation where the Department of General Services is driving the train. And I'm hopeful that they will be very forthright with the public as they move forward as to what the environmental concerns are and why there is a need for remediation of a great deal of the property. And hopefully that we can stave off demolition of the main administration building. And again, this is just my personal sense as to what needs to be done. But I think that we need to be very aware of the facts that are going on with this and very aware of it. So there's a lot of misinformation that's being put out there right now.
I agree. And then, since it's not a city property and we don't have anything to do with the sale of that property, does the city have a position on whether or not tax incentives are going to be given to the person who eventually acquires the property?
Again, I was speaking just for myself, but that hasn't even been addressed, so.
Yeah, I think that if it's an appropriate offer, like you just said, it should be one that doesn't require the school district or the city to give tax incentives to develop the property. Agreed?
Not agreed, just,
Oh, yeah.
like, there's been no proposal for that, so I can't say agreed or disagreed, because no one's floated a proposal for that, so.
Cool, awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else courtesy of the floor? Mr. Marks, are you here? Matthew Marks? Oh, okay. Now would be the appropriate time. I know.
Thank you. My name is Matthew Marks. I'm the Government Affairs Director for the Greater Lehigh Valley Realtors. I just wanted to take a few seconds to talk about the property tax increase, how it would impact homeownership in the city. First of all, thank you all for your dialogue. I know I've emailed council and the mayor. I did receive some response from you all, and I appreciate that. Just a few things about the tax increase and how it would impact the city. Small business owners, seniors, families living paycheck to paycheck, and the city's most vulnerable cities who are on fixed incomes will all struggle to pay this increase. Homeowners will now have less disposable income to stimulate the local economy, and landlords will pass this increase on to their tenants. This tax increase will hurt homeowners' investments and will impact affordable housing for all citizens in Allentown. I understand the city has services and staff that must be funded. However, I ask you to reconsider this property tax increase. I look forward to working with City Council and the mayor on this and hope a solution can be found soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Last call.
The agenda item, that's not under crazy, of course.
What's that?
The agenda item, that will be under the crazy.
We open up budget.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I didn't see anything on the agenda that would fall under. Oh. Okay. Anybody else for courtesy of the floor? Seeing nobody, all right, Mr. Hanlon, I guess we'll turn it over to you for the elections.
Okay, on the election of officers, the solicitor's offices informed me, the first election needs to be for the president. So this is for the office of president of the council, and by lottery, Mr. McLean won, so you vote on him first. Okay, this is for Mr. McLean to the President of City Council. Ms. Appa?
Yes.
Mr. Grady?
No.
Mr. Henricks?
No.
Ms. Mota?
No.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes,
Mr. President, 4 yeas and 3 nays.
thank you very much.
Okay, now on the election of the vice president, again, by lottery, Ms. Appa won. Okay, on the election of the vice president, this is for Ms. Appa. Ms. Appa?
Yes.
Mr. Greedy?
No.
Mr. Henricks?
No.
Ms. Mona?
No.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Zuko?
No.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Mr. President, 3 yeas and 4 nays, it fails. Okay, now for the next in line is Mr. Greedy. Okay, Mr. Greedy for vice president. Mr. Greedy?
Yes.
Mr. Henricks?
Yes.
Ms. Mota?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
No.
Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
No.
Ms. Appa?
No.
Mr. President, 4 yeas and 3 nays. Mr. Greedy is vice president.
Okay, thank you very much. Meeting if that's necessary, but, okay. Agenda item, Mr. Hamlin.
Okay, agenda item pursuant to section 1010 of the Home Rule Charter, citizens' right to place an item on city council agenda. Petition was filed with the clerk, which was deemed sufficient to place the following item on tonight's agenda. And that question is the item on the agenda read as like this. The mayor shall reopen the budget and work with city council to reduce the budget and tax rate.
Okay. I'm sorry?
And the discussion will follow, following council rules, 3 minutes for an individual and 5 minutes for a bona fide group.
Okay. Why don't we open it up to the public first, and then we'll open it up to council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do I get 5 minutes now?
Since you were representing the citizens, we'll give you the 5 minutes.
All right, thank you.
Citizen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Congratulations on your reelection.
Thank you.
And then tonight I also want to thank council for putting on your agenda the petition signed by the voters Valentine. That reads, the mayor shall reopen the budget and work with city council to reduce the budget and the tax rate. How did I get to this point, Mr. Chairman, with the petition? After mayor introduced his budget, and what they call and other news organizations say that the budget included a 27% tax increase, voters that I met afterwards said it's impossible for them to believe this happened in Allentown. This mayor would do this to us. And I said, you have any problems? You come to city council and you ask the mayor you get the mayor and ask him to answer your questions. But in hearing the voters, I heard that a non-resident city employee, happy that she got a raise, and helps her now to pay her mortgage. After that, I heard from a homeowner in Allentown who told me no doubt will lose her home and does not know where to move because of the high tax increases that no doubt will affect where she moves. She can't afford her mortgage now, her rent, her electric, her food, and utilities, and clothing, and other things. How can she find another place? In fact, she said, my place might be foreclosed. And at the budget meeting, it was also mentioned that the city will receive a grant to feed the hungry youth at schools in Allentown, and also another grant to feed city residents. It came to me that these people that need to be helped and be fed are residents where in the neighborhood where we have now, some neighborhoods, 67%, Mr. Chairman, live in poverty. Where her family are among those that file their earned income tax credit during tax time. And City of Allentown was #1 percentage-wise of people that file their tax return out of 110 cities that get the earned income tax return. I remember when someone brought this to the attention of City Council, when a rent issue, and he mentioned ad valorem. Could that just make people make rent payments the same, where they're gonna have rent in bad luck? A former city councilman said, when he ran for office, even in tough times, you and I have to balance our family budget. There's no reason that the City of Allentown cannot do the same. I also remember a former city council president who asked the former mayor to review a proposed budget, and the mayor obliged, Mr. Chairman. And they made changes to the budget. Now I'm asking the same mayor to reopen a budget as voters requested, and also for the low-income homeowners that cannot afford real estate tax, 27% tax increase. Is he or is he not the mayor that I listened to before? Let's find out. I can say no more when I submit this petition in behalf of the voters of Allentown. Again, I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I did take more than 3 minutes, but not 5, Mr. Chairman. But as I mentioned in here, there's many people are going to get hurt, Mr. Chairman. And I asked the mayor, as he did when he was the city council president, he looked out for the voters of Allentown and the taxpayers of Allentown, and he knows people in Allentown cannot afford 27%. I still don't understand why he vetoed your cuts, and now I'm asking him to reopen a budget, and I will work with city council and Mr. Hunsaker and a few others will work with city council and the mayor to reduce the budget, and I think maybe possibly can reduce the budget 50%. I'm not exaggerating. Could be done. I don't know how they got up to 27% tax increase, Mr. Chairman. The mayor asked you to find ways to reduce the budget, which you did, but at 15 seconds before midnight, he vetoed it. And Mr. Chairman, I think when I was in city council, that question was raised when, if a budget adopted by December 15th, council can override a mayor's veto anytime before December 31st. And I wish you guys would look at it. You're the solicitor here, Mr. Camacho, was that ever researched, or was that question ever raised about council could overrule the veto anytime before December 31st, as long as the budget was, because it was adopted by December 15th, and the mayor vetoed it after that. And I think there's a legal question on that, and I wish council would have tested the mayor off. Again, we cannot afford a 27% tax increase, and voters have signed that petition, told you so, and I hope council recommends by a favorable vote that the mayor reopens the budget and reduces the tax rate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hirschman, and that was a question that was asked and answered, so. Anybody else?
Hi, Becky Hess, 28 South Burke Street. I just want to say, Mayor O'Connell, you told all of the people of Allentown when LCA started the water hike that you would take care of it for us, and that's been lost and still in the courts. And then you turned around and raised the taxes 27%. I got a new job at work last year. I got a decent raise, and all of that money that I'm making now is going towards my taxes for my home and the water increase. And I think that the council did a really good job of trying to work with you, and I think you need to work together. I mean, 27% taxes is crazy on top of the water fees and now the stormwater fee and all of these things. I mean, I just urge you to work with them. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Zuko?
No, there, still got a couple more.
Oh, okay, thank you. Mona?
Hello. David Melman, 1050 North 19th Street, Allentown, Pennsylvania. I'm a lifelong resident of the city, and I've last 10 years have operated a small business in the form of my law firm on 1600 Walnut Street. With full understanding of the $6 million deficit the city is in, the difficulty in obtaining a long-term loan, And I know how hard this is on everybody, and with nothing but respect for the mayor and for city council doing the best that they can do in a really tough time. I would urge that the mayor consider reopening the budget discussion simply for the purpose of having a full forensic accounting done line by line on every single department's budget. Because I don't think it's justifiable to the city and taxpayers who, it was no fault of their own that they were in the position that we're in now, to say it's a 27% tax hike without a fully transparent audit of the city's budget being done first. And then once you can go through line by line, see where the waste is, what can be saved, then maybe you can justify a tax hike. And maybe that tax hike doesn't have to be 27%, maybe it could be a lower amount depending on what can be saved. But I think the city and the taxpayers of the city of Allentown, the people who have to pay for all this, deserve the city to prove to them where the money is being spent in a way that hasn't been done in a very long time. I'd like to congratulate Jeff Glazer. I was here on a meeting a few months ago when you did that line-by-line analysis of Parks and Recreation. I thought that was wonderful, and I think that needs to be done for every single budget of the city. And then I think maybe we can justify an increase after showing the people where the money's going, what's needed, and why. But I think the people don't understand that, and I think there's going to be a backlash from the taxpayers after they get their bills. But I do want to say, I have nothing but respect. I know everybody here is working their hardest, and the city's in a really tough spot. And it wasn't the problem that got us here, been going on for a decade. So, I love the city more than anything else. I know all of you do too. And I would just urge that you consider reopening the discussion for the purpose of doing a full analysis before making the final decision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr.
I
Glazer.
would just say, I looked at every department, just about, over the course of the budget, so it wasn't just Parks and Rec. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, if I could add to Mr. Millman's question, we had budget hearings in every department, and I know right around the table, everyone had many questions. Mr. Glazer had comments and concerns, so, I mean, that was addressed. I mean,
And I was very appreciative of what Mr. Glazer did too for the budget process this year. So I think it made it easier for us.
and Mr. Glazer is going to be sitting at the table next year when we have our department budget meetings, and he'll give us suggestions as we go forth, rather than hearing them maybe a day or two before. I think it's, and I think, you know, we'll wait till the speakers are done, but I think we'll have a comment then, and we'll want to solicit a way in also.
Okay, thank you. Sir.
I'm Sean LaSalle. I'm actually a realtor. I'm here representing clients of mine that live in Allentown, that own properties in Allentown. And I want to kind of, I'm, against the 27% tax increase, as are my landlords, my sellers, and people that I know live in Allentown. I wanted to kind of just paint something a little differently. I want to give you, and you might know this, but just humor me for a second. I want to give you an overall market, real estate market snapshot of what's happening. We know that we are in a very good real estate market, but it's more important to know, for everyone to know, that Allentown right now is in the best real estate market I think it's ever been in, right? So that's good for the city. That's good for the local economy in the city. That's good for businesses coming to the city. That's good for new homeowners coming to the city, right? Which all produces tax revenue. We all know that. That's simple economics. But the concern is now nothing that the city of Allentown has done, nothing that none of you guys have done, is that we are starting to see in the micro market and the macro markets, the real estate markets are changing. Okay? You may not hear about it right now, but you will in 6 months or 12 months from now. It's starting to, we're not going into a recession. We're not going into a housing, it's not a bubble that's about to burst or it's not going to crash like it was in 2008. But we are going to see a change in the real estate market. So my concern is, and my sellers' concerns, and my property owners' concerns is, any tax increase means that they have to pass that on to their tenants that are living here, making it more expensive to live in the city of Allentown. The city of Allentown's got a lot of great things going for it right now. The Main Street, or Hamilton Boulevard, all that redevelopment that's happened over the last few years is awesome. It's bringing tourism here. It's bringing people to live here. We all know that. But the littlest amount of increase at 27%, can severely impact that. And I think that's what Matt Marks was trying to, convey earlier in what he said. It can severely impact the ability for somebody to afford to live in the city of Allentown. And when we have people moving out instead of moving in, what happens? The revenue goes down. Regardless, you could raise it 50%. If people are not moving in and they're moving out instead, the revenue's still gonna go down. And I understand that there's reasons to increase taxes in order to make up for spending new fire trucks, new police cars and stuff like that. That would all make sense. But we should be looking deeper at other ways to raise that money instead of just taxes. We should be looking at cutting more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Eric Lynn, Everett, Bickford, the first elected transsexual in the Commonwealth. My concern here is that the cause of the 30% tax raise is going to do to tenants. We're going to have more people homeless and living on the streets because they can't afford the 30% raise in the rent. We're going to have more seniors living on the streets because they can't afford to pay the new 30% tax rate increase on their property. You know, when we met 30 years ago, we were all more open to everything. Graham really just made with you that you see it's okay to raise taxes 30%. 27. Well, still, it's close to 30, right? Aiming for 3%.
Eric, address us, please.
All right.
It's not on time.
But it's not. It's not good for the community. You know, we have a problem downtown with shortages of housing. You're gonna have people living on the streets, you're gonna have families living on the streets, because they can't afford to pay the new rent hike that their landlords are gonna impose on them. What are we gonna do? Tell them goodbye and ship them to Caddy, ship them to Emmaus? We need to reopen that. We need to put it to the vote of the public to evaluate that 30% increase. Otherwise, we're gonna have a lot more people homeless on the streets. We're gonna have a lot more kids missing school. We're gonna have a lot more people hurting, and we can't afford that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
James Whitney, 924 Walnut. I think that middle-class families have had to make cutbacks that aren't such a big deal, and our lives are still pretty awesome. I think Shelby in my life is certifiably awesome. We have pain in our lives, but it's manageable. But I mean, we're a one-family car. A one-car family, and now we're a one cell phone family because it just got to be too expensive. One of the things that made it too expensive was the tax increase. The school tax increase last year, we were like, dude, we can't afford this. And one of the reasons why we can't afford it is because the properties that we invest in aren't becoming worth more money. We tried to sell our house on 6th and Oak. We tried to refinance it first, and it was appraised, and it appraised at $59.5. And we're like, that's gotta be a mistake. We're right here. We're right by $1 billion of investment. That's a mistake. And our next door neighbors, who are immigrants to this country, who came here for an amazing opportunity, they're dismayed because their properties hasn't increased in value. And so we had to sell our property, and we listed it at $80,000. Because we know that we take care of this property and we know what's going on downtown. And we're like, listen, somebody's gonna catch the vision for this property and catch the vision for this neighborhood. And they did. We got 2 offers right off the bat, right away. But the appraisal came in again and it came in low, so we had to sell it for less. I mean, the thing is, it's not really that, it's not all a matter of that we don't want to pay more taxes. I was telling Shelby this morning, I'm like, dude, I wish we were paying 100% more in taxes, 300% more in taxes, because our building on the main street should be worth $600,000. You know, we need to, as a city, enact policies to get these property values up. It's not just us, the middle class, who are buying houses. The people who did end up buying our houses, it's a first-time homeowner who's coming out of government assistance. off of it into the class of homeowners. We owe it to her to get these property values up in our city and raise revenue that way. Because if we're saying, well, we have to raise taxes every single year in order to make up for our budgets, then eventually you just get to 1%. I mean, to 100%, right? If we have to raise revenue some other way besides just raising taxes. And you know, with this tax increase, now Shelby and I have a Sophie's Choice. We have our 3 babies there, our Hulu, our Netflix, and our HBO Now. We have to choose which one to cancel. I just started watching Killing Eve. It's incredible. And True Detective just came back, and it's only at episode 2. I can't cancel HBO Now. So, when we cancel Netflix, just remember, we didn't have to. We could have done something here to save our Netflix accounts.
Can I ask you one question,
Yeah.
sir? Did you sell that place or no?
We did. We sold it. We sold it for less than we wanted. We got a full price offer, but the appraisal came in low because
How
Church
much
Street.
Did you make a profit on
We made profit. We made profit.
it? So you bought it for 59,
We bought it for 56.
56.
We made a
Tell
good
us what
profit.
you sold it for?
Sure, we bought it for 56. Poured our hearts into it for a year. We sold it for 74.
Okay.
Incredible. And you know what?
That's incredible.
It's
I mean,
incredible.
but you were just stating that the prices were going down, nothing is worth this, and so on and so forth. But you made one hell of a profit on that piece of property on Oak Street, 56 to 70,000. How long would you have it?
1 year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and you know, I think that these properties also should be at some point reassessed. But like, you know, like I said, we listed, this is 2 blocks away from downtown. Yeah, we made a healthy profit. We poured our hearts into that house. But the thing is, we couldn't sell it for what it was actually worth because there's no comps in the area that to support selling a house for that much. I mean, don't be too impressed by selling a house for less than $80,000 2 blocks away from $1 billion of investment, 2 blocks away from Tower 6. Like I said, it's not so much a matter of like paying more in taxes. It's a matter of like raising revenue in ways besides raising the taxes every single year, because that's unsustainable. We made a healthy profit on that house. And you know, we put up with murder in our neighborhood, we put up with hell. We went through hell to make a good comp for the neighborhood so that our next door neighbors could sell their house for hopefully more than they bought it for, which they can't yet.
Thank you, Mr. Booth.
Hey, Don, we're here downtown. Congratulations. Raymond, you know I love you like a brother. But I'm gonna say some things that you're not gonna be happy with. Okay. All right, we're just talking, okay?
Yeah.
I swore the mayor said to me point blank that he was gonna present his budget to council, and council was gonna be the entities to make all the cuts. You made cuts, and Ray vetoed that cut. Can somebody explain that to me? No, can't explain that. We are hurting the poor people. We are hurting a lot of senior people here in this city by what we're doing. We can't afford this budget without looking at what Mr. Melman has proposed, going line by line. And I think this budget that Ray has done has benefited unions very dearly here in the city. And most of those people don't even live here in the city. They're not gonna incur this tax increase that we are, okay? Because they don't live here, yet they've benefited from this new budget. We gotta start taking this budget and running it like a business, not a political toy that we're running it like now. And I would ask Mr. O'Connell to please, for the city of Allentown, the citizens of Allentown, to reopen this budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Glenn Hunsicker. I guess most of the things been said tonight about reopening the budget, and they're all true, they should have been done. I think the way I looked at it earlier, a couple months ago, and I don't think the administration really attacked this problem in a proper manner. What I mean by that, they should have went after the expenditures first. Now, I know they had these private budget meetings, but in other cities, they do basically, like Ms. Candia said, You have it on TV, and they have in-depth reporting, and everybody can see it. They don't have to be down here. They can see the in-depth reporting on every department. And I've seen this physically in other cities, big cities. And it's really in-depth. They go into the details. Why do you need these chemicals? How many you get? And everybody better bring their suitcase with the information with them, or they're gonna look like they don't belong there. And that's what we don't see. You have to start doing that. And council has to put their feet to the fire to do it. They won't do it on their own. People don't wanna say, I wanna cut the police department, or I wanna cut the fire department. They don't wanna say anything. And I'm not saying you should, but they have to justify those positions. A couple of months ago, we asked people we put together budget considerations, and we gave them to the mayor, and we said, 10% reduction. And what do we mean by that? We meant every department should fight for their money and prove that they really need it. Maybe they need 12%, but they have to fight for it. And it has to be in a public format to some degree. You can still have your private meetings, but you have to have it in a public format so everybody can see it. Then if you have to have a 20% increase or whatever in taxes, it's explainable. This way it isn't. We brought up healthcare cost. Cadillac versus like the SEIU has. 25,000 versus 21,000 per year per employee. Big number. Reduction in outside consulting costs, which are brought up here every month. Look in detail. Do you really need them? I don't know. Contract reviews coming up. You're gonna have a Canberra contract coming up, another big item. Can we do it in-house cheaper? Start looking at it now. The Centerra contract, we could have saved 300,000. Now, some people said we couldn't, but I thought that. So anyway, we brought up a lot of ideas. And where we go? Nobody really addressed them. I get emotional when I talk like this, but it's true. You gotta start doing something. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for courtesy of the floor. Mr. Zupa.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Hirschman. It took a lot of effort and, strong will to come before us tonight, before the mayor, with that petition. And also all those folks that came up and spoke. Let's say this, the mayor does have an opportunity to open the budget. However, if I'm right, Mr. Camacho, he cannot change the tax rate. Is that correct?
Mr. Zucco, and also to Mr. President, the Solicitor's Office has opined on this issue, and based on our research, under the Home Rule Charter, there are no rules or any provisions providing any authority to the council or the mayor to reopen a closed budget.
Okay, so with that said, putting all politics aside, Mr. Mayor, I'm asking you, is there anything that you or your cabinet, Mr. McMahon, Mr. Hartzell, can do to try to make any kind of cuts, to give a little, if not anything, a little bit of a tax relief come next month? Anything?
I think Mr. Camacho we cannot change the tax rate. Mr. Camacho.
No, not a tax rate, a tax credit by some cuts.
But Mr. Camacho.
Just to clarify the question, Mr. Zucco, so I think that the question is really targeted toward expenditures. What changes can be made to expenditures?
I would like to, okay, once the budget is adopted and the tax rate is adopted, and it was adopted, that tax rate is submitted to the state community economic development, okay? To the municipal statistics database, okay? I want you to, maybe not, you all got the memo, but review section 808, okay? Review Home Rule Charter section 808, talking about revenue reductions and budget reductions, okay, as we go forth. And after that section 808 of the budget is reviewed, I think what is going to dovetail as we go forth, okay? As we go forth with the early intervention program, okay, which, will be going out for RFP very shortly. and we talked about this, is, you know, the bottom line is, whenever we come for appropriations for any department, any bureau, okay, that comes in front of city council. That's where the dialogue can take place. And that's where the dialogue needs to take place. And if you can reduce expenditures, increase revenues, that's a dialogue that takes place. Again, the tax rate cannot be changed by council, and at this point, it cannot be changed by me, that stays. But going forward, the executive branch, you know, working with the legislative branch, I think I'm very curious to see, once that RFP is, you know, granted, where we go with the suggestion by the vendor who gets that RFP, looking at revenues increase, looking at expenditures possibly decrease. So we are in agreement to it. I want you to review section 808. Okay, I think I just reviewed it, but
I would agree with your assessment.
Mhm.
If I can add, Mr. Zugolo, and then I might be, if I'm not following your chain of thought, just let me know, but how about, you're not changing the tax rate, you're not changing anything, but there's savings, there's cuts, there's less spending, so that there could be a pot of money, whatever that might be. And homeowners who come in with their tax, with their income tax return, and they're in a certain tax bracket, which is low, could they get just a credit? You wouldn't get money back, say, instead of, if they owe $1,000 on their tax, only have to pay 800 instead of 1,000.
That's correct, that's what
Okay, that's
That's a legal question.
It's not necessarily a legal question. I think we're all speaking of the same issue. The thing is that the issue today is whether or not the council can reopen the budget and affect any change upon the tax rate tonight or any subsequent city council meetings in the next couple of months. The answer is no. However, I think the mayor and I think city council are saying the same thing as far as whether or not there could be expenditure changes that can affect some sort of savings onto the city or the city citizens. I think both of you are saying the same thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the agreement that we come to resolve. But also, when you start, and we've had this discussion before about Mr. Hirschman brought up about giving the veterans, you know, tax break here and that. And then, as far as, you know, if you start picking or choosing a class, okay, you know, granting this to this class, or this to that class, that comes into some legal ramifications, and we talked about that before.
I wasn't suggesting any class of person, I was suggesting
Money.
what their income is based on
I
their tax returns.
will
Mr.
just make
Hirschman.
one last statement, I think, I will just make one last statement, obviously, council, and cannot open it, I cannot change it, we can't change the tax rate, I can't change the tax rate, but I give you commitment, we'll be looking at expenditures, revenues coming forth, see what your early intervention program, you know, any suggestions that come. And I'll make the statement, I think we're all gonna be very wide-eyed with this early intervention program with the results, because we are in bad shape. This city is in bad shape. No one, believe me, no one. Okay, fiscally, this had to be done for solvency of the city, fiscally responsible solvency of the city. It was not an easy task, believe me. It was not easy at all. But I think we're gonna get a real eye-opener come this early intervention program, which is gonna develop. And I think Mr. Zuppel, Mr. Garidi, Mr. Hendricks, Mr. Hartzell, Mr. McMahon are on the committee, and you had your first meeting tonight. That's my last statement that I'll make on the tax rate and the budget process.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Grady, then Mr. Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I'm glad that, and I thank you for coming over and restarting this discussion, Mr. Hirschman. You know, when we were going through the budget process, we discussed a lot of these things. And I wish that some of you, including the Realtor Association, would have been here during that period, that we were able to make some changes and lower the tax increase. I was sitting here along with a couple of colleagues, including Mr. Zuko, Mr. Hendricks, and some others, that offered cuts. And we offered offered a lot of cuts to lower the rates to at least close to less than 27%. I think it was in the 20s, or probably 17, 18. I wanted 17, 18, or probably less, but we compromised to be a little higher than that, but it was still lower than what the tax increase is. And we had over 12 different amendments that we offered, about 12 amendments to lower the tax increase. There were times that I heard that nobody cared, nobody had talked to anybody about lowering the tax, that people were happy with it. And I heard that in these chambers. Unfortunately, people didn't come, they didn't support us. They didn't say, hey, look, we want a tax decrease. Very few people did that. I put it in Facebook, I got probably over 100 comments on that. But we needed people here to make an impression for that. And we didn't have it. I would suggest that you, as residents, come to city council more often and get involved because these are it's like what they call a Monday quarterback or something like that. Now we can't do much, okay? And when some of us worked hard, we had sleepless nights sometimes looking at this budget, line item by line items. And we went through it, line item by line item, and we looked at it, we looked where we could cut some expenditures. Somebody made a comment about Mr. Glacier. Mr. Glacier did the same thing to every single department here. And, there was, some people felt that it was okay, that people really didn't care about increasing the 27%. That's not the case now. Now people are coming in and saying that. The mayor talked about the early intervention program, which we started last year, actually. We had a gentleman here with the Budget and Finance Committee, and for those who don't know, I'm the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. And with the Budget and Finance Committee and the support of the rental council, we were able to enter into an agreement to get the Budget and Finance Committee, the early intervention program comes from the state. We got some grants, and it's gonna cost us, I think, less than about $30,000, but we're gonna get about $120,000 worth of services. The mayor alluded that we just had a meeting this afternoon in regards to the RFP. This is the RFP right here. We're gonna review it, and on the 23rd, we're gonna have a meeting. 23rd, I think it's at 6 o'clock, I think it is, 6:30. We're gonna have a meeting here with the Budget and Finance Committee, and we're gonna talk about it. And this is gonna go out ASAP to people or consultants that may be able to come in and help us out. The mayor is right. We are in a dire strait here. We are in a very difficult situation financially. And didn't start yesterday. It didn't start last month. I would have hoped that we would have lowered the burden on the lower income individuals of the city. And I said that many times here. People were telling me to be quiet so many times I said it. But I didn't have the support from the audience to make that impression. I had very little support. There were some people here, but we needed more. So he said, okay. So, just to finish my point here, I would work on the mayor to looking lowering costs, cutting costs somewhere. And I think he can still do that without having to open the budget. And I will work on that because there are people who really cannot afford tax increase. Since the last time we met, I have people call me and tell me that it is going to be very difficult on them, very difficult on some people. So I know that we need to pay certain things. I generally think, honestly think that we could have lowered taxes a little bit more. We could have done that and still have the city running okay. But we didn't get the support from the audience that we needed. So I advise you.
Mr. Greedy, I would just like to interrupt for 1 second, because these people are here tonight, and it's almost like you're scolding them.
No.
These people are here.
Some of them are here, you're right, some of them are here, but I'm saying in a mass situation, okay? Because that's the way it works, period. Now, let me just say something. I think we're gonna make some changes, hopefully, through this early intervention program, but I think, and let me just say for the audience, because people are probably watching also in the internet right now, and I want to say to the people in general, not those people who've been here every meeting, but to those people who don't know, the budget is usually presented to council on November 1st. On November 1st, and then we have until December 15th to pass the budget. Every year, the same thing. So keep that in mind. Sorry for the long lecture here, but thank you for indulging me.
Let's start the timer from that one.
I don't think you have to do that.
Mr. Hendricks is yielding to Ms. Asher, and then we'll go to Mr. Hendricks.
I want to respond to Mr. Grady and the people out there as far as cutting expenses. This is the only way we can cut a budget by cutting expenses. Tonight, we had a meeting. This was Mr. Grady's meeting about community policing. Chief Al Sabin was there, and Ben Jello. And the thing was, he was asking, Mr. Grady was asking for substations in high crime areas, which we did have at one time, which would have benefited you a lot where you sold your home. The problem is, we don't have enough police officers. We don't have enough police officers to sit in substations and go out and patrol at the same time. So this is what we're talking about, cutting expenses. Now, we have a grant that we have, I think we have 214 police officers. We need 223 to 228 for us to get this grant, but we have to hit that mark. So we have officers out there who are going to be trained, officers out there that are going to be in the academy. And one of the things with cutting is, and they talk about the poor and so on and so forth, but most of them, the public safety is in the city of Allentown. There's more fires in the city, there's more crime in the city, and this, in Center City, and this is where we can't be cutting these services. No one has asked Craig Messinger, our Director of Public Works, how much, we were at these committee meetings, we were at the directors' meetings, their budget meetings. They told us, I personally spoke to every one of them, we need this. Did anyone ask Mr. Messinger what he needs to keep this city going when we have a snowstorm? New lighting that we need, how many miles, 600 miles of roads that we have. All of these things can't be done. We didn't raise taxes for 13 years. And if we want to do what the mayor suggests, we need the police. You want the police officers. Someone came up last month and said, I wish we had more police officers. Well, we can't do that. We can't do that if we refuse to not have, start having taxes. We need these taxes. The mayor went bottom line. He went as far down as he could possibly do to keep this city going for what it was. So when you hear Chief Al Sabin say, I would love to have it, that's my goal, is to have these substations. I can't afford to have the police officers because they have to be out patrolling. So this is one of the reasons I believed in the budget. I know Mr. Grady and some of my colleagues look at cutting expenses. I couldn't find any expenses to cut to keep you guys safe. We are here to watch your money, watchdogs for that. We're also here for your safety too. That being said, thank you.
Hang on a second, Mr.
Go ahead, Mr. Grady covered the subject I wanted to mention about the EIP. As mentioned by him, and the mayor, we met tonight, and we hope to have this out by the end of the month. And we want to get it back early enough so that this will have an impact on our budgeting for next year. And as much as I would like to reopen the budget, it can't be done. But we are going to look at, and hopefully what we look at, most importantly, how to increase revenues without raising taxes. That's going to be one of the key items in here. There's 6 specified items, but we'll have experts in here to look over our budgeting, and they'll look over everything. And they'll be able to tell us where our best bets are going forward, and how to make cuts, or how to increase revenues. So that's the only thing we can promise you at this time. We're out of this. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you.
I do agree with Ms. Alpha, except that if you continue raising taxes, I mean, people are going to be moving out of our city. Our citizens are hurting. We're dealing with a poor community. People say that it doesn't make any difference, you know, the savings of 20, you know, $20 a year or $30 a year, but believe it or not, for a person that has a fixed income, it is a big deal. So the community is hurting. I've been getting a lot of phone calls. 20% increase out of the blue is gonna hurt a lot of people. And I do agree with you, Councilman Garidi. I believe that not a lot of people in the community thought that 27% was gonna happen. And I think that that's one of the reasons why people didn't really show up like we wanted them to. We just have to do a better job when it comes to communicating more to our constituents, letting them know the importance, again, over and over again, of coming to a city council meeting. Next time, maybe flyers, going door by door, like a campaign. But the reality is, if this continues to happen, people are gonna be moving out, The poor is suffering, and our senior citizens is suffering.
And the middle class.
And the middle class, without any doubt. So, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We're still taking comment from the public, but we kind of.
As a person who presented the petition, I think the mayor's wrong and Mr. Kamicha's wrong. I didn't say, you can give a tax credit, Mr. Chairman. You're not gonna reduce the tax. What you do is, the cuts the mayor makes, when you mail out the tax bill, you give a credit for the savings. You reduce the tax. In other words, the tax bill is $300, you put minus $100 credit based on the savings that council made on the budget. You can do that, number one.
Okay.
And Mr. Kamicha.
Lou, you get one shot, one.
Okay, I'm just saying, what the mayor said, you can cut the taxes, you can reopen the budget, the mayor does it all year long.
We have legal, the legal opinion says no, so I mean.
Well, I don't have to start with, I'm sorry to read the charges to me here, but the mayor reopened the budget all year long.
Okay.
And we did that when we were on city council too, with the permission of the mayor, you know that, and we opened the budget.
All right, thank you, Lou. Sir, I'll give you one more minute.
Okay, just real quick. I just wanted to respond to what you said about wanting to, wishing you had the realtors here while you guys were reviewing the budget. First of all, I'm the immediate past president for Greater Lehigh Valley Realtors. And I just wanted to say that any time, and other municipalities and townships and cities use our resources all the time. So anything ever to do with housing, we are professionals in that field, and we can help you with stats, and that goes for everybody in this room, public as well.
Thank you.
So budgeting, all that stuff, if it has to do with housing, tax increases, we are here, we are your friends, because we want every city and township to thrive, and we want everyone to own a home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
All you gotta do is call.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from the public?
Patrick Palmer, 617 Allen. I was just getting a few messages while everyone was talking. A couple questions that were asked of me. So I deal a lot with the homeless, with the less fortunate. I also deal with insurance for elderly as well. Some of the things that were stated where I know some people who they feel like their voices aren't being heard. So to them, even them showing up, they still don't feel like they would have had their voice heard. So one of the questions is, if you guys feel like if they would have shown up, that may have changed things, well, why didn't you just act like they were here and see what you could do different? So the question arises then as well, it's something where you guys stated you didn't raise taxes for the last 15 years. How long did you think you can go without raising taxes in general? At some point, you did realize that that is a detriment to the city, regardless of who's in charge. You can do something about that, but instead kind of just sat back and allowed that to continue. So now, yes, the city is in dire straits, but I mean, some people are stating that we understand it's not council's fault, it's not the mayor's fault, but in a way it is. So in a way, this is a Band-Aid over a problem that's stemming from the people that caused it. So if you guys feel like the people just needed to show up and then you could have done something different, you needed to act like they were here anyway. How many of you guys did go into the streets? Instead of telling them to come here, why don't you guys go out there, ask them face to face, go to the homeless shelters, go to the places that I go to and question them and ask them, how do they feel about this? See people using WIC checks themselves in grocery stores, how do you feel about this? The elderly that I know that are barely getting by, that are ending up selling their own medicine, just to get by. Now what are they gonna do? How many of you guys have actually asked them themselves, how do they feel about this? I understand there's people like canceling Netflix subscriptions and things like that, but there's others out there that do have a problem just living before this, and they feel like their voices aren't being heard, and you guys are supposed to be their voices. So you guys definitely, even though some are saying you guys haven't filled them, a lot of people are feeling like you guys have filled them.
If I may, Mr. President, since you addressed some of the points I made. I did go out there and talk to people.
And I
that's
did
why
see that you
offered-
did, I did see that.
Yeah, and that's why I offered a 10% tax, 10% decrease on, across the board on the overtime, okay? I did go out there and talk to people, and I heard a lot of people, and I heard their voice in this chamber, and you were here most of the time, I recognize that, and you saw me asking for a lower tax increase.
They didn't see that.
Okay, so I did go out there, when I'm saying this to the public, because some people are seeing it on the media right now, okay? And I'm asking them that they need to come and talk to their representatives. We're here to represent the people.
So, but then the question is, if they were here, what would you have done different?
I think it will probably make a difference sometimes when people come here and show up. It makes a difference for some, because if you remember, there were questions, there were people here who said, I never had a person tell me that they to lower their taxes. They actually asking me to vote for tax increase. Were you here when that happened?
I believe I was.
Yes, so those things were happening. So people actually, some people here in the chamber apparently never heard anybody say, lower my taxes. I did. And I went over there and I heard people telling me, don't increase my taxes 27%. And that's why I worked for that. Now, there's another point that you made that I wanted to say, and I just went out of my mind. I'm sorry, but it was in regards to the whole tax increase issue, okay? So, thank you.
Okay, all right, Ms. Moda.
My last remark is that I went out in the community. I went to many radio stations with Mr. Garidi.
And I know you did too, but it was
So-
like as a whole, but I do know.
I just want you to know that, but we have to do better, without any doubt.
Okay, thank you. All right, last call for courtesy of the floor. All right, seeing none, Mr. Hanlon, approval of the minutes.
Okay, on the approval of the minutes, now you gotta vote on them. Ms. Moda. On the minutes.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Mr. Zuko.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Kappa.
Yes.
Mr. Greedy.
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
President, minutes are.
Thank you very much. All right, old business, any old business? Communications, can we do these citations under communications so that people don't have to sit here and listen anymore? Thank you, Mayor, we'll start with you.
This is Michael Sorrell Senior, correct? Whereas congratulations and commendations are in order for Michael E. Sorrell Senior for saving Tierra Roberts from a burning building at 1357 Liberty Street on May 4, 2017. Whereas Michael E. Sorrell Senior is a recipient of the Carnegie Medal awarded by the Carnegie Hero Fund Commission. In October 2017, Michael also earned a civilian certificate of commendation from the Allentown Fire Department and was honored by the Burn Prevention Network for his bravery. And whereas because of Michael's brave action, a catastrophe was avoided by his quick response to danger and knowledge of life-saving measures, and whereas this courageous action averted what could have been a tragic loss to family, friends, and community, it was an act of heroism, which deserves a special recognition. Now therefore, I, Ray O'Connell, Mayor of the City of Allentown, Roger McLean, President of City Council, Candida Affa, Vice President of City Council, along with all members of City Council, express a sincere appreciation to Michael E. Sorrell Sr. for his dedication, his fellow citizens, and community spirit, and do furthermore proclaim today, on Wednesday, January 16, 2019, Michael E. Sorrell Sr. Appreciation Day in the City of Allentown. Michael, I signed it, all 7 City Council members signed it. We're so proud of you. You are a true hero.
God bless you all. Wow. I have to say, I love the city of Allentown. You know, I've said this is actually my first council meeting. And I'm sitting and I'm listening to everyone and all this, and I hear, I hear the complaints and I hear all this, but from my perspective, I have to say, I'm proud to be a citizen of Allentown. You know, I know city government isn't easy. I know sometimes the scales is just all uneven, and it's hard to pull it all together. It's, you know, but I know that, and I have faith that all of you, as long as you all put your minds together, because I see some very intelligent and sharp people here, that all the problems will be solved. It's a beautiful city, you know, and I will do everything within my power to help anyone in this city at any time. I've met some beautiful people since I've been here. I've been here now going on 3 years. Candida Alpha showed me so much, oh gosh. She put out her heart to me and it really touched me. And it reaffirmed my confidence and my faith in people as a whole, all of us, everybody, and that's for everybody in here. You know, I mean, it gets rough, but God is good. And if we have faith, all the problems that everybody in here, that we all have, can all be solved. All we gotta do is just come together, work together, I know we'll figure it all out. And I wanna thank you all for this award. I'm overwhelmed. Thank you. God bless.
We've got one from City Council. That was the mayor signing it, and this one here is from my colleagues. I'm not going to repeat basically what the mayor said, but I just want to say to everyone here, there is a hero in this room, a real live hero. And I am so proud that I have met you, sir. And thank you for being an Allentonian and the bravery. And I know you not only went through the fire, I sat with you, you told me how it happened. Not even thinking twice, how you ran up those steps, took a breath, and feel the searing down your throat.
Yes.
Saved that little girl, pulled her by the arm. Not only did you do that, you resuscitated her too.
Yes.
For the fire department. Thank you. Sir.
Watch your step.
Watch your step.
Coming back, I want to shake everybody's hand.
You don't even have a cape on.
Thank you.
Oh, we took a picture.
And you know, I want to say this too. I hope I get an opportunity to be able to pay the 27% tax.
All right.
Thank you very much. It's truly a pleasure to have you here and in our city.
God bless you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Send it to me, honey.
All right, do we have anything else for communication? All right, reports from committee, budget and finance. Mr. Reed.
Thank you. Committee has not met since the last council meeting, but we do have a meeting scheduled for the 23rd, and that is 6:30 p.m. here, right here in council chamber. There it is.
Thank you very much. Community and Economic Development, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since the last council meeting. However, we do have a meeting scheduled for Wednesday, January 30th at 6 p.m. in chambers to discuss bills 4 and 5, which will be introduced this evening. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Human Resources Administration appointments, Ms. Hopper.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since the last council meeting, but the next meeting is scheduled for January 23rd at 5:30.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Parks and Recreation, Ms. Moda.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since the last council meeting. There are no future meetings scheduled.
Thank you very much. Public Safety, Mr. Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since last meeting, and no future meetings are scheduled at this time.
Thank Thank you very much. Public Works, Mr. Zuko.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee has not met since last council meeting. No future meetings are scheduled.
Okay, Rules, Chambers, Intergovernmental Relations and Strategy, that's me. The committee has not met since the last meeting, and we have no future meeting planned at this time. And now we go to the Controller's Report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't get there were no reports from the last meeting. I have 6 audits tonight. I'm only gonna give you 4 because I don't want you to have too much sugar.
We're gonna start putting on the clock.
5 minutes an audit. The first thing I'd like to comment on is the pension funds. A brief report on the summary of pension cash flows for the 3rd quarter. I think I forwarded the report to Mr. Hanlon, who should have forwarded it to you. Very briefly, the police pension fund opened the quarter at $161 million, had net investment change of plus $5.7 million, paid out their benefits, and ended the quarter at $165 million, 165.5. Fireman's pension fund opened the quarter at a little bit over $106 million, paid out their benefits, had a net investment change of $3.8 million, ended the quarter at almost $109 million. The O&E pension fund began the quarter at a little bit over $12 million, had a net investment change of $325,000, and had an ending market value of a little bit less than $12 million. The O&E pension fund is what we call a mature fund. It only has 1 active member. So over time, its total is going to decrease. So that's very normal. And this fund is actually very, very well funded. In the end of February, the beginning of March, I will have a report on the 4th quarter, which will probably not be quite as rosy because the market has not performed as well. We did a physical inventory of the municipal golf course. You know, they have a pro shop out there. Every year we go out and pay a visit and see how we count, like the golf tees they sell, we count them individually.
Wow, yeah, right.
We found one minor issue, a weakness in our master count. They were off by, there was one item they were off by 1 on. We recommend that the count sheet should be individually entered into the inventory system, and the system should systemically total the sheets. Pretty minor finding, the administration agrees, and I'll say that over the years that the golf course has become much better, much tighter in their inventory, and we have many fewer issues now, so they really need to be commended and doing a good job. I think last month I introduced the first P-card review. We know the P-card is the purchasing card. It's going to take care of a lot of the purchases that have been on blanket POs. It's a great thing for the city to do because it saves us time and money not writing checks. We also get a little bit of a rebate. It's a new process, some minor growing pains. We reviewed 26 statements from the various departments and bureaus. The amount of transactions for the period totaled $34,667. There was one issue with lack of documented approval that happened to be for food. Any departmental purchase of food needs to have the mayor's signature on it. The department was advised, and we'll make sure that they get that approval in the future. We found 2 invoices where, 4 transactions where sales tax was paid. The departments were advised and will take precautions in the future. And one of the beautiful things about this P-card program is on the card, it has the city's sales tax exemption number right there. So hopefully this won't be, shouldn't be an issue going forward. So you always have the documentation. There were some invoices that didn't have identifying numbers on the individual transaction document. In order for us to check this stuff, we need to have the document number on the document. One department was a little lax in that. They were advised and promised to do better in the future. And that's the P-card. report, and I think we're making great progress in that, and that was the report for November, okay? Accounts payable weekly check review for the period December 1st, 2018 till January 4th, 2019. We reviewed 475 checks for $5,135,000. We did 6 wires for $533,000. All the issues were relatively minor this time. There was some untimely travel reimbursement. Identified 2 travel and expense reports for September, which were submitted in October but not reimbursed until December. The checks were released, but we reminded the departments of the need for timely reimbursement. There were some wires that were not posted in a timely manner in Eden. One wire was posted in November, but the invoice was deleted and re-entered almost a month later. There was no reason for the deletion or delay. One wire was posted in Eden for 20 cents more than the invoice amount. Both wires for employee benefits. The department was advised of the issue and will take precautions in the future to prevent these issues from happening again. There were 4 checks that had late payment fees for a total of $3.50. We always encourage invoices to be paid in a timely manner, and additionally always encourage the departments to take discounts where possible. There were 25 invoices that were paid late for a variety of reasons. Once again, all the departments were advised of the lateness. They all responded with any reasons that may have caused the lateness, and also conveyed their intentions to make sure all invoices were paid in a timely manner going forward. I can do the other 2 if you wish, Mr. President. Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, you woke me up.
Okay, we'll save them for 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hold on, Mr. Brady.
Just a quick question, Mr. Glazer.
Yes, Mr.
Those
Brady.
invoices, 25 invoices that were submitted late,
Yeah.
do they have to pay late charges?
You know, I'm gonna say that 99% of them did not have late charges on them. And in some cases, what we like the departments to do, if they're gonna pay something late, is to contact the vendor. That's always one of our questions. And in some cases, there's a legitimate reason why they were paid late. But no, just the 4 invoices, and the amount of money, like I said, was not a whole lot. So in this case, it's less of a money issue and more of a process and procedure thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Blake.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Mayor.
No report.
Okay, we have some appointments. Ms. Atlas.
No report, oh. Appointments. This is for reappointment to ANISDA. Nelson Diaz, his term will be up on 2024. Is there any comments from Mike?
I do, actually. He's in favor of Nelson Diaz. I know him. He's been in the board for since the initiation of this board. Very wonderful man, and has a lot of interest in our city, owns properties in the city, and he has a lot of interest making sure that our city does well. So, do community service person, I encourage all my colleagues to vote for him unanimously.
Anyone else from the, right? Any comments from the public on Mr. Dye's appointment for ANISDA? Seeing none, would you vote first?
Okay, Mr. Diaz. Ms. Appa?
Yes?
Mr. Greedy?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Ms. Moda?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Duco?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Is he here? No? Okay, well, congratulations anyway. The second one is reappointment for ACIDA. This is for Thomas. I wanted to say it, so. Emily, I was gonna say it, I know, Shaughnessy. I'm infamous for misspelling your word. Name. Anyway, his appointment is also, his appointment is at the end of 2024, is until 2024. So do I have any comments from my colleagues on Mr. Shaughnessy?
comments. As I know, Tom and Chauncey for a very long time. He's a very wonderful man as well, a good developer. And I would recommend my colleagues to support him on this one. I don't see him here.
Hey?
He's not here. I know him also.
You know him also. We all know him. Is Mr. Shaughnessy, he's not here? We have a vote, Mr.
Okay, Mr. Shaughnessy, yes, he had a conflict tonight. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Ms. Moda?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Mr. Blaine?
Yes.
Zappa?
Yes. And that, I believe that's it.
That is it. We have ordinances for final passage, resolution for final.
Okay, resolution, R5 is a police officer appointment of Edward Elam from Easton.
Okay. Any comments from the administration?
Yeah, just Mr. Elam, 44 years of age, from Easton, law enforcement officer for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York for the past 8 years. Bachelor's degree in mathematics from Caldwell University, New Jersey. He started with the city of January 4th. He's currently attending the police academy, and he came recommended great credentials from his previous employers.
All right, thank you very much. Any comments from public? Mr. Hamlin?
Okay, on the appointment of police officer, Mr. Hendricks.
There wasn't public comment, Mr. President.
This is a new cop. I just,
Come on up.
I don't know, what's his name?
Edward Elam.
I would just like to say thank you to him. Thank you for coming and making our city a safer place. I don't know if you heard he has a degree in mathematics. Sounds like he can go make a lot of money with a degree in mathematics in 2019. A ton of money.
Work on our budget.
Yeah. Or he can work on the budget. But he's not. He's not. We all know that cops aren't overpaid in our society, and they're sure as hell not overappreciated. And so for somebody to take that degree of mathematics and then answer the call to keep our communities safe, and I think that that is something that we should just celebrate and appreciate every single day, not just in Allentown, but in this whole country. We love our cops, and we just want to say thank you to them for keeping us safe and for serving. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
I'll make a 214 with uppers.
Seeing nobody, Mr.
Mr. Hendricks.
Retirements.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Moda?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Mr. Blaine?
Yes.
Zappa?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks.
All right, thank you very much. R6, please.
R6 are certificates of appropriateness for work in the historic districts at 224 North 9th and 1501 Linden. Actually, that's wrong. Actually, it's at 224 North 9th and 409 North 10th.
That was right.
224, says yes.
Mike, you're right the first time.
Was it right the
You're
first
right
time?
the first time.
226?
Two.
All right. So I'll change that typo there.
Yeah, these are certificates of appropriateness for 224 North 9th Street, which is to install a fiber cement siding along the side of the house. Actually not a house, a building, it's a commercial building, mixed-use building. And also at 1501 Linden Street, the project is to install wood tongue and groove porch flooring. Both of these are in compliance with the historic district guidelines.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from council? Comment from the public? Mr. Hammond?
Ms. Moda?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Mr. Blaine?
Yes.
Zappa?
Yes.
Mr. Greedy?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Seven yeas and no nays.
Thank you very much. Bill number 2 for introduction, please.
Bill number 2 amends the capital fund budget to provide for a supplemental appropriation of $250,000 from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development to the City of Allentown for the multimodal transportation fund grant for LED street lighting system along the American Parkway from Union Street to Bradford Street.
Okay, any comment from Council? Any from the public? All right, just gonna go to Public Works, Mr. Zuko.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Bill 3, please, Mr. Hammond.
Bill 3 amends the 2019 capital fund budget to provide for a supplemental appropriation of $250,000 again from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development to the city of Allentown for the multimodal transportation fund grant for the Center City streetlights and ADA ramp installation project.
All right, thank you very much. Looking at all these numbers, Mr. Zuko, you might want to pull that recruit from the academy and use some for your.
You're not gonna say how much time Mr. Messinger wanted.
Okay, anything from council? Anything from the public? All right, again, to Public Works, Mr. Zuko.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Bill number 4, please.
Bill number 4 is an amendment to the zoning map, and it rezones parcels at 1216, 1224, 1228, and 1236 South Meadow Street from RML, residential medium low density, to B3. It's a highway business district.
Okay, thank you. That's going to go to Mr. Robinson. Any comments from council? Any comments from the public? All these will be committee meetings, so you'll have a chance to say, comment at those committee meetings also. Okay, to Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Bill number 5, please.
Bill number 5 provides for the vacation of a portion of South June Street from the center line of Juliana Street in a northerly direction, 250 feet more or less to South June Street limit within the subject block in the 16th ward of the city of Allentown.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments from council? Anything from the public? Again, Mr. Robinson, that goes to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as I stated earlier, these two bills plus the resolution about to be introduced will be discussed at the January 30th meeting, which will be at 6 p.m.
Okay. R7, please, Mr.
R7 is a certificate of inappropriateness, denial of a certificate of appropriateness.
Okay, and we just heard that that's going to be at the next Community and Economic Development meeting. And any comments from council? Anything from the public? Seeing nobody. Any new business? Seeing none. Good and welfare? Seeing none. Anybody want to adjourn? Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. And the second is all the way around. Thank you.